Good evening and welcome to another episode of Mowing After Dark here on the College Football Mafia Network. Week 0 for those of us who start our weeks on Sundays. Week 0, here we are. We're getting prepared for live college football action this coming week. Tonight we're going to be talking about the NCAA Pro-Am. If you saw the little thumbnail there, I kind of gave a nod to one of the hardest Nintendo games, RC Pro-Am with the NCAA Pro-Am. We're going to talk about that. We're going to say hello to some people. Poll is up for next week's movie. Let's get into it. I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of events. Just keep everybody who has not caught up with the story caught up with the story. How this all started. The NCAA's new rule in June 2026, the NCAA introduced an age-based eligibility model, a 5-for-5 rule that allows players 5 years to complete 5 seasons of competition. However, this rule was originally designed to apply strictly to athletes enrolling in the fall of 2027. In late July, U.S. District Judge in Colorado granted a class-wide preliminary injunction. This effectively overrode the NCAA's timeline, ruling that athletes from the high school class of 2022 who had exhausted their 4 years of eligibility this past spring were immediately permitted to play a 5th season in 2026-2027, this upcoming season. Here's where we currently stand. The federal pause on Friday, August 21st, 2026, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals granted a temporary stay on the initial injunction from Colorado. As a result, the blanket 5th-year eligibility for the class of 2022 is paused while the NCAA's appeal is processed, leaving many athletes in limbo right at the beginning of fall football season. But because the overarching federal injunction is paused, athletes are now actively bypassing the ruling by filing for and winning temporary restraining orders in state courts to force the NCAA to let them play. Here's the kicker. NFL rookies are returning to college. The most chaotic byproduct of these localized state rulings is an unprecedented wave of players attempting to leave professional football to return to college. A Louisiana judge recently granted a TRO to a group of 16 players, which included undrafted free agents currently participating in NFL preseason camps, such as Browns tight end Dae'Quan Wright, Seahawks running back Anthony Hankerson. Rather than fighting for practice squad spots, these players have entered the transfer portal or potentially will enter the transfer portal with the intention of signing a lucrative college NIL deal for their final 5th year. Okay, so let's try and put that in layman's terms, if at all possible, Rock.
The NCAA is taking more L's all over the place because they executed a rule that has good intentions and is probably a good idea poorly. And as they have done often, it has come back to boomerang against them in a world where they could have foreseen this because a Yahoo like me thought about it and a Yahoo like you thought about it months ago. Had they just did the same thing to do 5 years of eligibility to play 5 seasons, which wipes away things like redshirt freshmen and medical hardship waivers to get to 8 years. If they had just implemented it in December, all of these players suing right now would have had due notice about things and wouldn't be in the position to go find their court of choosing to get themselves back into college football. And because they did not do that, and because they waited for the academic and athletic year to end and did this in June, by the way, most of the time they try to implement rules well in advance just to avoid this. And they chose not to, either because they were stupid or because they were trying to avoid these guys getting an extra year. We now have what we're having. So this was the law of unintended consequences, part 4,257 NCAA. Take it away. What do you think, Mo? Does that simplify it enough?
Hold on. Let me get rid of this spammer here in chat. Unfortunately, that happens from time to time. I apologize for that. Let me hide user on this channel. There we go. That should take care of it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Rock and I have differing viewpoints on this. Rock, would you like me to start, or would you like to let me counterpoint?
I'm fine either way. My take is I do not like the outcome of having players who went into an NFL camp back in college, but I think they should have been in a position to have been given 5 years as well, because all the ones that are following them are getting that essentially. And that way they would have been able to make a decision back in December, especially those that are fringe draft choices or even fifth rounders. You know, Cam Ward a couple of years ago got his, had an agent helping, got his fifth round draft choice zone, decided to come back to college. I think they could have done that and mitigated it. So because I think that they should have done that for the entire class, including a lot of people who didn't even get an invite to camp or just signed a temp contract for a tryout, they brought this upon themselves. And the extreme version of that is what we're seeing with Dae'Quan Wright in this specific case. But you have to treat a class the same. You can't be like, hey, everybody, except for you. That doesn't work either. And for those who will say they signed a pro contract, I get that. But a lot of them would not have signed a pro contract had they executed this rule back in December. That's my issue. The poor implementation made for the ramifications we have. I don't have to like the fact, and I don't like the fact, but I don't begrudge the fact that LSU is signing Dae'Quan Wright, and I don't begrudge the fact that he's doing it, but I don't have to like it to understand it and put it in those terms. So that's kind of where I stand on the ridiculousness of it all, and how it might be the perfect example of the absurdity of this entire sport, which of course is happening right before we get into actual games again.
Fair enough. And here's my point of view, and it's a little bit different from what Rock thinks. I believe once you sign a pro contract, you're a professional. I understand, and I agree with them. 2022 class should have had a fifth year. We can all agree on that. But there were some players who actually signed on to the class action lawsuit and a bunch of players who didn't. My point is, if you really wanted to play 5 years in college football, those agents probably would have told those kids, hey, you're not going to get picked up. You're not going to get drafted. You're not going to make a training squad. You're not going to get invited to mini camp. Let's stick around and see. Let's get our names on this lawsuit, get you that fifth year. You'll make more money in NIL this year, go pro next year, and figure it out. And I understand your point of view, but listen, there were some kids who fought for this and some kids who just wrote it off, and now they want to ride in on the success of it. And I think that's wrong, especially if you have signed a professional contract. You are now a professional football player.
My counter to that would be a lot of these guys, pro contracts that they supposedly just signed are worth less than the quote unquote not pro contracts they just left behind in college. Because if you're not a UDFA and you're not a preferred UDFA, your deal is usually worth less than $200,000, let alone if you only got a tryout. So now we're to the point of arguing over whether or not what is a pro contract versus a college football contract that paid you more than your pro contract. But that's what this show is about. Our takes, and to hear from everybody in the chat and especially tonight, because you got me and Moen on different sides of the aisle. I don't know, very polarizing issue. We tend to agree more. Again, I don't like that he's going to be playing again, but I don't begrudge him or LSU because NCAA does NCAA things and we get NCAA outcomes. And then you go to cry to Congress because you still couldn't fix the damn crap yourself all along, and we're still exactly where we were before. Yeah,
again, how we define professionalism, I say if you NFL, if you sign an NFL deal of any kind, that's one of 32 teams in professional football. I will allow if you sign some kind of UFL deal, totally get it, because that's not professional football. It simply isn't. Canadian Football League, same way. I would give them a pass. But if you sign some kind of deal with one of the 32 NFL teams, I think that makes you a pro player. Again, if these kids felt so strongly, it makes me want, and you're right, Dae'Quan Wright is going to get paid tons at LSU compared to what he's going to make in the NFL, currently signed to the Cleveland Browns. And yes, I joke about it, but Cleveland is a professional football team. But
in principle, they are a for-profit team.
In principle, if you didn't declare for the draft, if you didn't get picked up by a pro team and sign some kind of contract or agreement of services deal, I'm fine with them coming back and getting their fifth year. I don't care. You're right. The NCAA should have seen this coming, and they should have handled it, but they didn't, and now we're stuck here. So, it is what it is. Let's go ahead.
Welcome everyone to the insanity of this conversation.
Speaking of which, would you like to show them your movie poster?
Oh, yes. Which one? The more original one? The one that we should do a Rodney Dangerfield movie week, and we can start off with Dae'Quan Wright going back to school, the sequel that never was done.
Yeah, I don't know about school. That might be.
Well, I mean, he could just be like, he might be going to the Rocco Beck school of one online class. And I feel for all the Penn State guys, because I remember everybody giving Carson Beck crap about whatever he was doing. I think he actually was taking 2. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, that's a pretty good parody right there. I'll give that to you. Let's say hello to some people who came in here tonight. 5th, go Buckeyes, says Outlaw Skies. Good to see Outlaw Skies. Always number 5. Jaden Daniels has some words for you, buddy. I've been watching college football highlights and full games on YouTube getting ready for this week, and Jaden Daniels against Florida State. Have you ever seen that hit?
Yes. God. Well, that was I was reminded of that with the number 5 controversy. Because somebody used that as like Jaden Daniels waking up to his mentions this morning. That was the GIF. I thought it was the best post. Grant Reacts posted it as his response when that all came out, that account, and thought it was one of the posts of the year. The best use of a GIF in a troll.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the highlights for Florida State that season. Good to see you, Ryan. Glad you're able to join us in chat tonight, as always. The Big Lubbock is here. What the fuck? Why are we getting spammed tonight? Hold on a second, guys. I'll user on this channel. They really want you to go watch that preseason game, guys. I don't know. Sorry. Sorry to those in chat who had that spammed on them. The Big Lubbock says first, as always. Daniel Gygax is here. He said Daniel Gygax is here. Hi everyone. Did I miss a rule change? But I thought once you declared for a professional sports draft, minus baseball, I know they have different rules, that you have to end your college career.
I think that's pretty much an archaic rule, right? That hasn't been adapted to the fact that these guys are all getting paid revenue share anyway, and they should have the rule, that room to go back. My only point is not that I disagree with that contract issue turning pro, is that since the rule wasn't even implemented until June, they didn't know they had any other option. It's like, do you want cereal or do you want cereal? That's all you really had to choose from. If they had done it in December, you'd be like, you can have cereal or you can have the whole training table and stay in school. They just didn't have that choice. And then they applied it to everybody after them that was in the same locker room that they were just in, plus the incoming freshmen. So that's my concern.
The John Dry. Hey, y'all, guns up. Does this mean Patrick Mahomes can play 2 more years at Texas Tech? since he has won so many Super Bowls.
I'm guessing Cody Campbell's in Congress right now with Ted Cruz putting a new amendment in the bill. Just for that, John.
Yeah, by the way, John, I have been working on the new Big Freaking Friday redo, and as soon as I can find it, let me show you something here. This has been pretty cool pulling this off, and I really like the way the Texas Tech one turned out.
Oh, wow.
What do you think? Texas Tech Red Raiders. Going off of the retro into the neutro. I'm putting together mascot logos that don't even exist. Let me hide this for you just so you can take a look at it.
I was going to say, yeah, you're doing a combination of the old tee and the new flat tee.
Yeah.
So you'll piss both people off at the same time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun. Keep a look out for that on week 1. I'd hope to have it done by Friday, but we've just got way too much to do and way too little time to do it around here on the channel. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of taking a preview look at that, and I think that one turned out really well. Old Dad is in the house. He says, "Yo, 6 days. Will it be the beginning of Norvell's farewell tour or the Garnet and Gold redemption tour?"
Well, I mean, I think FSU should have a pretty handy win against New Mexico State. The question is, if they only win by 28 in a 31.5-point spread, do fans lose their mind or not?
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're watching us over on Twitter /X / whatever you want to call it, consider jumping over to YouTube and joining in the chat here and interacting. We've got a great interactive chat here. You can join us on at the CFB Mafia on YouTube or at CFB Express on YouTube. And if you have not done so yet, make sure you give the like to the stream on either channel and make sure you're subscribed to both channels and you click that notification icon. That helps us out tremendously. We got some super chats we got to get to. By the way, if you want to leave a super chat, super sticker, become a member, or gift memberships, you can click that little cash icon in the bottom window. And you can do all that stuff from there. Caden the Diesel Freak. Moen, can I join the show? Caden, it might not happen tonight. We've got a lot to cover. I've got a little time to do it. I'm trying to get stuff ready for the Big 12 and ACC season previews. Those videos will be coming out this week, and trying to get stuff done for Big Freaking Friday show. And I got a lot of stuff I got to cover tonight. So I can't guarantee it tonight, but we'll see how the night goes. Thank you for the $2, brother. I appreciate it. I'm sure you're getting ready for Ohio State football. We'll do a little of you know what? This isn't really Ohio State football, but I think it fits here.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
Appreciate your super chat, Caden. And like I said, we'll see where the night goes. I can't guarantee it though. We got like an hour and 15 minutes, and I got a lot of stuff I got to get in. CFB peek around the corner with Greg Flugar. Good to see you, Mr. Cooler. That SEC podcast with SEC Mike and Cousin Shane are reporting tonight. Texas QB Arch Manning is struggling big time over last 2 weeks on Longhorn camp. Missing wide open receivers. Here's
Cam Coleman.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You never know. These are the same people that said Julian Sand is going to cost Ohio State a national championship. I think the offensive line would be the main concern at Ohio State at this point. I do not believe. Yeah, I don't believe that it's going to be the quarterback play. It's going to be the fact the quarterback may not be able to stay clean.
Yeah, you guys got to take a big jump, right? You got 4 returning linemen from last year. They got a little bit dunked on by Indiana and Miami. Texas lost somebody too? Was it someone on their offensive line or was it on their defensive side? I can't remember, but they lost.
They lost a linebacker. They dismissed a linebacker.
I also thought they had an injury. I could be wrong on that one. Let me see.
They also have a kid's dad apparently going out on Twitter and complaining. Apparently some kid reclassified for the same position, and it looks like that kid's going to get all the playing time that other kid was promised, and it's like he's going to blow the lid off of all this. It's just like, this is college football in this day and age. I don't know how you can blow the what lid are you going to blow off? College coaches lie to kids all the time, guys.
And Mo, and it was Trevor Gooseby for Texas, the starting left tackle. But I would bet he's back by that Euro game, if not sooner. He's recovering from a bone bruise in his left knee during camp, expected to miss roughly 2 to 3 weeks. I can't imagine him not being there lining up against your Buckeyes.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how Arthur Smith schemes things this year too. He was in the NFL, but but then again, I have to look at it from this way. Everybody took a shit on Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, worst head coach in Lions history. Matt Patricia, they ran down Matt Patricia, and he came to Ohio State, and he did exactly what I'm going to do to this person right here. Oh, you already did it. Thank you, Daniel. And make sure, Daniel, I don't know if you've got the option, Daniel, but when you see those, hide user on the channel. I'd appreciate that, sir. Thank you for all you do for the
Thanks,
channel.
Daniel.
Daniel. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything, Greg, until I see a ball snapped. Yeah, I love preseason hype. I love getting into predictions. I love all that. But last year about this time, I think probably 80% of the college football sphere had Texas and Clemson playing in the national championship game. And Clemson especially. And, that did not work out for either of those squads. So thank you for the super chat, Greg. I got a little something here for you. Oh.
It just never gets old.
Never gets old. Ricky Tungate, Mr. Hoosier. What a mess. Don't see how the NCAA sleep at night, screwing everything up. It certainly does seem like one of those workplaces where you fail into upper management.
Thanks for the super chat, Ricky.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, Ricky. We do appreciate that. And I'll give you a little sounder for your Hoosiers. Can they repeat? A lot of people think they're being disrespected. Not in the top 5 preseason. Returning national champions. Kurt Signetti did it once. Can he do it twice? And be the first coach, I think, since Nick Saban to win one back-to-back.
That would be damn impressive if we were to pull that off.
Well, let's play a little Indiana fight song because Indiana won't sue me like Nebraska. Thank you for that super chat, Ricky, and thank you for your continued generosity to the channel. We do appreciate it, sir. Good luck to your Hoosiers this year, except when they're playing Ohio State. Evil Badger says not feeling well, but if a player signs a pro contract, they should be ineligible to return to college. So Ryan's kind of agreeing with me. The Evil Badger says if you sign a pro contract, and again, I will disseminate for people, by pro contract, I mean any kind of contract with one of the 32 NFL teams. I'm not going to bring up the UFO. I'm not bringing up the CFL. And professional football is the NFL. So thank you for the super chat, Ryan. I hope you start feeling better, buddy. If you need anything, just give me a holler and let me know. I'll play you a little on Wisconsin as you're getting ready for that big matchup against Notre Dame. Definitely feel better as well, Ryan. I do.
Yeah, Ryan, be good, man. Take care of yourself.
Buckshot Kid's in the house. He says, oh, hey, Moan and Rob. Hey. Tennessee Chris. Good to see you, Tennessee Chris. I think the 50 option is a good thing for players that aren't currently playing on NFL rosters. I'm a UCF fan, and we brought back one of our linebackers who wasn't on an NFL roster. Skaven, yes, says hello, gentlemen. Good to see you, Skaven.
Hello there.
Player, this is from Greg. Players should not be allowed to come back to CFB if they have competed in an NFL team's camp, unless you are a field kicker joining beloved Golden Gophers after being cut in Ravens NFL camp.
I'm thrilled to see the intellectual consistency across college football that we are seeing online.
Yeah, definitely.
Right now.
Isn't it funny how that changes when it's your team?
Yes.
By the way, Jaden Fielding, the former kicker for Ohio State, was granted a 5th year of eligibility, and Ohio State said no thanks.
Yeah, I was going to say, be aware that Moen and Rock's stances on this are not influenced by any players that are possibly pending, because I'm not aware of anyone going back to Miami, and Moen's guys had a shot and said, if the portal's available to you, enjoy it.
The average Joe 333 says it's ridiculous for NFL teams wasting picks on someone that can leave afterward and they don't get compensated by a replacement pick. To be fair, these are mostly undrafted free agents. They were not actually selected in the NFL draft. But in Dae'Quan Wright's case, at least, I know he has signed some kind of deal with the Browns.
They cut him. But they did cut him. Whether they cut him because he did this or not, he was cut. And again, this is a ridiculous story. We can agree or disagree on why it's a ridiculous story, but at its core, it still is, right? It's everything symbolic of college football in 2026, whatever way you want to approach it. But it is, in theory, I say in theory because everything's ridiculous in college football, a moment in time that will self-resolve.
MBM 357 says he wants to see ID4. One of the options, of course, Ryan Willie said, let's do summer blockbusters. So throughout this month, the Moen Movie of the Week theme has been summer blockbusters. Tonight, it's 95 through 99. Last week, we ended up on a tie. We ended up with Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park. And I only had time to add one sounder, and you guessed what it is. It's whenever we talk about Notre Dame. As soon as it plays.
That is one big pile of shit.
So that is a new sounder on the board. We will get good use out of that, I am sure. Bulldog Mississippi says,
what's
evening,
up, Bulldog?
Mafia. Good to see you, Bulldog Mississippi. Watching some of the best upsets of the past few seasons. Saw some Mississippi State over Ole Miss Egg Bowl wins in there.
Bulldog, I just want to make sure you saw on Friday that I am the one who loved your Bulldogs more than anybody else in the Mafia predictions. Not that it was a good one, but it was better than the other 6.
Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you. Minnesota should have to go for 2 points every time they score. So they might end a game at 8 points or 6 points.
I'm still not recovered from a couple of years back when they blew that game against UNC because of kicker issues. Because I had a 7-team parlay with like just a $5 bet that was going to pay off a ton. And all that guy had to do was kick that damn ball. And I remember it because, that's how I'm like Moen. I stay invested in games, not because I'm trying to bet a lot of money, but doing exotic crap just to keep interest across games. That one stung because it was several layers of good money coming back. So whatever you need to do, Greg, get a guy from friggin' FIFA for all I care.
Yeah, you know what other game popped up in there was the Illinois Penn State 9 overtime classic. Can you imagine if you had the under on that game and it went to 9 overtime? Boy.
Yeah, that's not even there's no category under bad beats for that one.
Yeah. I remember watching that game live too and being like, oh, geez, like somebody just win. And Illinois won that game, and I was very happy for Illinois and Coach Burt. The eye patch says go Utes. Well, that was a response. There we go. Go Canes, and that comes from James Canes.
James Canes in the house.
4001. Greg's Disney Adventures in the house, fellow Buckeye. Good to see you, Greg.
I think Greg's a happy man right now. I saw some of his posts online.
Okay. Mr. Monkey says listening and multitasking. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, Mr. Monkey says. Devil Frog calls it judicial activism.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I think people sue and you make a decision. That's what judges do. You can like it or not. But if it goes, I tend to think that people say that when it goes against whatever way they want it to go.
Well, a judge says it, and then another judge comes along and says different, and then
Right.
it's
They're judging.
Yeah,
they're judging from different points of view, different backgrounds, different training.
Yeah, it's like we talked about in August with this PCSA stuff that dragged out, that 19 cap. If it passed and got signed into law, that would be, one court would say it was unconstitutional, one court would say it's got, until it gets up to the Supreme Court. So judges have a very interesting way of making sure that they're always employed. There's always plenty of judges and lawyers in this country.
Yeah, judges have an interesting way of making judgments.
Yes. MBM says it's only district judges that are ruining sports.
I think it's pretty equal opportunity between district judges, state judges, federal court judges. Again, choose your poison, choose your journey.
James Kane says should not be allowed to come back to college after being in the NFL. So he's kind of got the opposite viewpoint. Tom Dubé says, when will university presidents finally agree that a CBA will cure most of their ills? I have a feeling that it's not going to happen until 2030, 2031.
Yeah. Or unless they get a map to their business schools to go ask some professors, maybe.
Yeah, don't ask Professor Youth, though. He is still a suspect in the BYU serial pooper.
Yes.
But listen, I think this is 2030. I think once consolidation expansion gets figured out, playoff format gets figured out, then I think they finally hit that time where they're going to, finally sit down and realize you need a collective bargaining agreement to solve most of these issues. But, it could be sooner than that. That college football playoff format answer could be solved here fairly quickly. A lot of people, from what I've talked to, believe that realignment's going to start again next year. So not necessarily start, but people announcing stuff next year.
Yeah. Hey, Moen, I don't know if you caught it, and I'm making an assumption so you guys can contradict. One of the things that people were saying was, hey, if LSU goes and gets this guy, Dae'Quan Wright, who was at Ole Miss, will this be violating the SEC rules about transferring within the conference at a certain time? And then there was this Ross, which would also lead to the question of like self-governing as a conference. And then there was this Ross Dellinger message that said, well, this isn't really that because he went to the NFL first. So I wonder if somebody from the SEC called them and said, well, it's not really a question about interconference thing because he already left and went to the NFL. So we have an out about saying like whether or not we do or don't have the ability to self-govern.
Sure. And I will say this, I also saw a report, and this isn't recent by any means, but that the FBI had been involved or was requested at Ole Miss due to espionage concerns.
Espionage. Ooh.
I mean, we've all
had
Iran
trying to mess with the transfer portal for Ole Miss.
We've all had bad breakups, but when the FBI gets involved, people, that's a doozy. That is a doozy. CFB Upstarts here. He says, what's up? Good to see you, CFB.
What's going on?
Glad to have you in the house. The John Dry says, I voted yes, but I'm a Texas Tech guy. Everyone gets professional basketball players. Why not? Yeah, I don't agree with the basketball player thing either.
Yeah, the basketball player thing I thought was bad. I think this is a different degree of it, but like I get people on either side of it. I just have my point of view about the NCAA, but it doesn't mean I'm also happy about it. It's the same thing we talk about realignment. We have our point of views on it. I still would rather be in a world where the Pac-12 existed the way it was.
Michael Brown says, I have zero problem with these exemptions for the 22 players. The NCAA left loopholes available, and guys took advantage of it. Also not a fan of the 5-for-5 rule. I can see it being challenged. Again, this is one of those things that a CBA would help at least clarify some things.
It would.
And then you could have somebody who can adjudicate it who is not an officer of the court, whether in player union and conference heads or anything, or whatever governing structure we end up with at the end of all this. Collective bargaining will be the death knell of college underdog stories. The only thing that made the sport special.
I mean, I don't know. I get that point of view. I think it might actually be the thing that saves college football too, including the underdogs.
Yeah, I would say last year Indiana was a pretty big. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the season, I think if you told anybody at the beginning of the season, Indiana was going to defeat Miami for the national championship.
Those are good odds. If you put that money on that game, you made a lot of money. And if you bet like $1, you still made a lot of money.
James Kane says, I'm with Mo, to be honest. Well, appreciate that.
Okay.
James. Michael Smith says, I have no problem with CFB being the NFL D League. Just two conditions: corporate detachment from all publicly funded institutions, and the NFL must fund it. Oh, well, that good luck getting the NFL to pay for anything.
Yeah. Why when you get free labor or free farm teams would you?
Bulldog Mississippi giving a little somebody a wave. NIL makes everyone a pro.
Pretty much.
I say it makes you paid. I don't know that it makes you a pro.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's see. Greg says it's the same with realignment. You just follow the money. So we're still pretending major college football is amateur sports. Well, again, if you're a student athlete and you're taking at least one course online or something like that, it still technically is a student athlete. Even if you're a millionaire student athlete, you're still a student athlete.
Right. You're nominally one.
MBM says the cooler curse. Yeah, that'll hit everybody. Bob Schlanger says, I agree with Moen. Caden the Diesel Freak says he's overrated. I think he's talking about Greg's kicker.
I was going to say there's so many ways we could go with that without knowing who Caden's referring to specifically.
Greg's Disney Adventures is, and he's predicted this before on the channel. He's saying Ohio State is going to destroy Texas in week 2. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
I don't. Yeah, it's 2 top 5 teams to me still until proven otherwise.
Yeah, there's too many questions for me, and I love preseason guessing and all this stuff. But until that ball is snapped, I don't know what we got. Right. It's great. A guy can catch 100 passes in practice and drop 99 of them during play. So, I mean, just remember a few years ago, Ryan Williams was the next great thing, and he just kind of disappeared last year.
That's true. He's no Jeremiah Smith.
James Kane said it is truly is moronic that these spammers keep coming into the chat, and I will hide them in the channel. Thank you for deleting.
A lot of people must think that you're having a hard time finding the Titans exhibition game, which is on Fox.
Yes, if you guys want to go see preseason football where none of the starters are playing, go for it. I won't fault you. I won't fault you. Mama the Clemson Tiger, notorious MDCT from Slim Pickens, South Carolina, says, what will stop players from trying for the NFL, not getting picked, then coming back for fourth or fifth year since they are allowed this year, using this year as a precedent?
Well, in theory, you'd think that professional contract, right? But for those players who are like not good enough to, you could declare and actually not get signed and find out that you weren't worth what you thought you were worth. Maybe you get some insurance policy. I don't know if the NFL will allow you to try out for, I don't even know how the NFL tryout's going to work, so I'm going to not talk. But I assume you're getting some compensation for your time there, not just per diem. But that's a good question. The professional contract in the past would have done that.
Jan Holk says Arch without the Manning name would not start. Hey, look, if they're struggling in the first 6 games, Sark may have to pull the plug on him.
Well, if they're struggling in the first 6 games to any large degree, I think Sark might need to understand how to spell the name James Franklin. Because nobody thought that James Franklin at this time last year was going to be on the hot seat and out. He had longer history of not getting to that next level than Sark has at Texas. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. But can you imagine if Arch could, was struggling bad after 6 games? Like what pressure is on Sark then?
Tom Dubé says it used to be beyond couldn't have an agent or if you declared for the NFL, but now there really aren't any rules, just opportunities to file a lawsuit in a local jurisdiction.
But they all have agents right now. They all have agents to represent their NIL deals and their revenue share. All the key players already have agents.
Manning is more of a runner than a passer, and he is not an elite runner. I'll go ahead and say he's not Lamar Jackson. He is, and in the conference he plays in, good luck to that man if he decides he wants to continue running. Because he's going to get licked. He's going to get some licks on him. Even if he goes for the slide, they don't pull up in the SEC from what I can recall.
Is he a rebel and a runner, a signal turning green?
Yeah. Well, that signal is going to be turning black if he keeps running. I'm telling you.
He won't be a New World man then.
Mm-hmm. Some teams will say, we'll take the 15, go out there and hit that kid when he's sliding. Buckshot Kid says that looks good, Mo. I think he's talking about the Texas Tech Red Raider. Michael Brown wants to know opinions on Keelan Russell officially being named the starter for Alabama. I will say this again, congratulations, but we haven't seen a snap played in competition yet. So have to see how he performs in the SEC.
Yeah, I kind of thought that's where they would go, but I wouldn't have been surprised if they took more of the safety route with Austin Mack. Austin Mack, I don't know. I know he's a senior. I don't know if he has 5 years, if he has one more year after this, but he certainly will be somebody that is probably consolation prize if he has another year, which I believe he does. Will be making a lot of money in January, or maybe it turns into, the whole Alabama era quarterback changes and things, national championship changes and all that other stuff. But I don't think Alabama's getting into the playoff personally. I think they'll be a top 20 team, but I don't have them in the playoffs. Okay. But again, we don't know what's going to happen with this quarterback.
Yeah, I think the SEC is probably, I think we talked about it on Friday, like the top 5-6 teams. Outside of Texas and Georgia, I think everybody kind of had Texas and Georgia at that 1 and 2 spot, but everything below that was really fluid, like 3 through 6. Everybody kind of had different opinions.
Yeah, absolutely.
MBM says that's a cool graphic. Thank you, MBM. I've got one for Oklahoma State as well. Pit Snipe Husker says I got mascot logo envy. That TT logo is fire, Moen. Thank you. I have not done the Big Ten ones yet. I've just completed the Big 12 and the SEC so far.
Hey, Moen, are you remotely afraid that Cody Campbell might sue you for copyright infringement?
No, because it's fair use, and I'm not using it to promote a commercial entity.
But, you know, I would say your use of the Nebraska marching band was also fair use.
I would agree, and I think if I went to court with it, I think I would win. So, but YouTube doesn't have that. YouTube just says, well, they said no, and that's good enough for YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube likes to just screw people over. By the way, if you guys have a favorite YouTube channel out there that's growing and small, and I don't mean mine because we're already monetized and the college football mafia is, go to sleep after you watch everything that these guys have in the mafia and whatever, and watch their channel for hours. Put it on autoplay, play a playlist, because YouTube is screwing all the young creators trying, or not young, but newer channels who are trying to get like enough money to pay back for their cost of things by raising the hours by January. So those guys need to get like a bunch of watch time and hit subscribers by January. So if somebody you really love, share the wealth, let them know, put their playlist on overnight when you fall asleep, and help them get to the place where YouTube can't screw them in January.
Old Dad says SMU is the real question for Florida State.
That game's close. That line is a little bit tighter than I would have thought, Mo, and it's like 1.5 points the last time I looked. SMU is a favorite, and
yes,
obviously it's at FSU.
Yeah.
But I still would have thought it would have been a little bit more based off of where SMU is relative to FSU in the preseason polls and odds and win totals. There's a few game difference there.
And I know it's different for you than it is for me, but I'm interested to see how Florida State performs this season.
I'm interested. I would love Mike Norvell to have another 40% increase in wins from 5, which was like 2-ish, 7-5, over 500, 2 to 5 to 7. That would be great. It would be great. But I actually don't know if 7-5 keeps them there or not. Like, I think 8-4 does, but I don't know. I'm just purely guessing.
I think Rock might be just a shade disingenuous on that one, guys.
No, I think Mike Norvell, just like Billy Napier at Florida before he got fired, I believe they both should have gotten lifetime contracts.
Right. I think you're saying that. You're not saying that in a genuine manner that you want Mike Norvell to be successful as much as you think Mike Norvell is a pushover.
I think that you can make an endless series of Mario pushing Mike Norvell into a locker should you choose to. But I also would love a day, and a lot of Buccaneers fans don't agree with me. I also enjoy the moments when they were both 11-0 and 11-0 playing for everything and the drama, and I can appreciate those, but I'm also fine to enjoy the misery that they got to enjoy at our expense when Jameis Winston was winning a national championship and Miami was essentially going 7-5 for 20 years.
It's one of those question marks for me that I really just want to see how they perform. Mark's Holy Grail's in the house. He says, please everyone stop staying in denial. Without the PCSA, there is no federal NIL rules, legislation, antitrust exemption to enforce eligibility or transfer portal. These state TROs will continue as is. We haven't even brought it up. Well, I take that back. I did bring it up a little bit when I talked about scheduling channel stuff earlier, but yeah,
and
PCSA,
I get to agree with Mark's Holy Grail for a change.
PCSA, that's going to come back starting in September. So we'll see if it makes it through.
The PCSA, I did some homework on it. Not the legislation itself, because nothing's really going on. So what, in theory, barring something else, I'll do it real quick because I don't want to bore everyone. Senate comes back. They are voting on it on September 14th. That was a promise. That's happening. So then they vote on it. Let's say it even passes. Let's say it passes. It passes. Then the House is set to go on break again October 2nd. So, and then they're not supposed to come back until officially after Election Day. So then you have to believe that the Senate's going to approve it. It's going to go down to the House. The House is going to get it in and out of committee approved, onto the floor approved, with new amendments done. And then the House and the Senate are going to do reconciliation in time in those basically 2.5 weeks. Or you believe that any of these guys are going to give a flying shit after Election Day when everything changes. That's the timeline we're looking at for the PCSA this fall.
There you go. Mick Stevens is in the house. He says, go Frogs. Maybe I'll just do a sneak peek of one more here. TCU Horned Frogs, which is not a frog or an amphibian, by the way. Just want people to know that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is a TCU Horned Frog. Very lizard. So there you have it. And I did not give him a tail because their mascot actually does not have a tail. So pretend his tail fell off.
Moen, how much of your bankroll are you betting on TCU to beat UNC covering the spread next week? Because I might bet every dollar I was thinking about. Not the over and under.
Here's the thing. I got a parlay. I like parlays. I don't like single game. It's either going to be a same game parlay or it's going to be a multi-game parlay. I am probably going to go heavy on the TCU Horned Frogs to cover. My only question is, do I think TCU can score enough points to hit the over?
See, I'm staying away. The line that I saw last I checked, because I'm already past week 0 picks, Moen. I've already put them on my channel. I already did week 1. That's how much I want to get done with talking about all the other crap. So they're on my channel if you want to see how wrong I'm going to be, but they're actually doing pretty well. I appreciate everyone who's watched them. I'm totally down with TCU covering 7, but the Ireland game, it always seems, it's Ireland. It rains. There's always bad weather. The over 49 is a little bit scary. Now, granted, UNC theoretically has some defensive coordinator problems, like Steve Belichick's out indefinitely for health reasons, but they still have Belichick. So I just have a hard time doing the over, not because I don't think it's possible, but just because the weather in Ireland. If it was actually in Dallas, like it should have been or would have been, then I think I would go with that.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would concern me, trying to put a same game parlay on that and figure out the over.
Yeah, I agree.
But listen, I think Belichick's out of North Carolina by the end of the season, maybe by the middle of the season. Yeah, I never understood I get it, media hype, but at least Deion did have some success in college.
Yes,
at Jacksonville State. So Shonsky's in the house. He says there's so much that has to go in your favor to have a national championship season. Yeah, sometimes you got a little luck that has to slip in there.
Yeah, one injury away, especially at the QB position. And by the way, guys, it's not a hot take when you're talking about anybody's team about, well, what happens if their quarterback goes down? 95% of the schools in the top 25, if their main quarterback goes down, they're not winning a national championship. Sometimes you're lucky. There are exceptions to that rule, but they're not that many, even if you've got a 5-star or 4-star or 2 5-stars on your bench. That's just not reality. So, I agree with the take, but that's pretty much a universal take.
James says some coaches tell a kid whatever gets them on the team, honestly. James, I wouldn't even say some. I would say most.
Definitely many.
Is it just me with what's going on with the courts? I'm so ready for football. It's just been a long off season. I hear you, Caleb. We got football Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. We do have college football.
That's right. I forgot. There's FCS games on Thursday, correct?
There are FCS games on Thursday. In fact, Daniel Gygax has a little short coming out about it in the morning. I think you should definitely check that out.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. And, it's going to be an interesting moment because now that we have Sac State and North Dakota State moved up, and we can't wait for Sac State versus Ball State. It's coming soon.
The Ball Sack Trophy.
Yes, the Ball Sack Trophy. Start to think of what is the next FCS school that's going to make that move. Is it one of the other Dakotas? Is it one of the 2 Montana schools? Because somebody's eventually making that move. up, right? So who's next now that North Dakota State made that move? Someone's going to be doing that in the next 2 years.
Yeah. But the Mountain West, I don't know that they have the money to pay these additional teams if they wanted to go to the Mountain West. Apparently, their settlement is going to be just enough to cover all the money they promised UNLV and Air Force.
Yep.
Pit Snipe Husker says, every time a parent overreaches in the media on behalf of their perfect little footballer, I think we should all keep in mind that Craig James still has dead hookers in his trunk, allegedly. Allegedly. If you don't know the story, Craig James killed 5 hookers while at SMU. Allegedly. Just like Professor Ute is a secret pooper at BYU. Allegedly. Ryan reminds us it's 14 days away before the Badgers face off against the Fighting Irish in Lambeau Field.
Even Miami fans, Ryan, even Miami fans will all be Badger Nation that day.
Pit Snipe Husker refers to Minnesota as moles. Yeah, but they don't what metallic moles. They don't golden gophers. I don't know. Send Fielding to Minnesota. Yeah, not a lot of people were fans of him after the Big Ten championship game. Are y'all having a pick 'em again this year on the games? Probably, Opie. It's again one of those things that's on my to-do list for this week. But we'll probably get something set up on ESPN again. Just make sure you wait until I put the pick up on our Twitter page. I know a lot of people last year just kind of jumped into the old group, and I'd already set up a new group. So make sure before you guys just jump into it, make sure you're joining the 2026-2027 group. And I will post a link on the YouTube channel, on our community post, and on the Twitter as well. And we're doing our own pick 'em on the channel as well. So I've got that to look forward to. Fergie wants to know your thoughts on Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders. Watson is a POS. Oh, Fergie is here. Buffs will surprise. Book it. Okay. You heard Fergie. He says the Buffs will surprise. I don't know what that means. Surprise could mean anything, Ferg.
15th is a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, they could run on the field.
Fergie's been on the
surprise people. I mean,
Fergie's on a rampage. He's a Buffalo bucking for respect for his team. So I appreciate the passion behind it.
Yeah, and I will say this: I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan. I think I've told this story on the channel before. My grandfather was a Cleveland Browns fan until they got rid of Mike Brown, and then we switched to Bengals fandom. So I don't really. Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's got some issues. Shedeur Sanders, is he the guy? I don't think so. No. Will Cleveland end up drafting a quarterback in the top 10 of this year's draft? Probably.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to have your starting quarterback be someone that your fans cheer for when they get an ACL injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I think the best quarterback the Browns have had since Baker Mayfield was Joe Flacco.
Right. It's probably true.
You think about that. Did Joe Flacco retire this year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. He was on the Bengals roster last year.
I believe he is still with the Bengals. Yes, it says is. I don't believe he's been cut.
I doubt they would cut him. Not this late in training camp.
Yeah, it still says present on his Wikipedia page for whatever good that is, but It's usually good for something. It says present. He's also probably the best Jets quarterback of recent times too, which goes to show you a lot as well.
Professor Ute, serial pooper. Allegedly.
I am looking forward to real trolling coming back in full form in college football.
Well, and this is something I'll bounce off the audience. What if you guys didn't catch it, if you remember, this last Thursday we did a special show reading tweets, reading posts from Cougar Board aimed towards Professor Ute. And we thought about doing mean tweets kind of thing on the channel. I think what Ute and I came up with is we're going to pick a spotlight game of the week. And on Big Freaking Friday show, we're going to rank the 5 best tweets in regards to that game. We'll probably have to search a lot of tweets, but we will try and pick the 5 meanest, nastiest tweets about that game from both fan bases. So
that's a good one.
Get your toxicity ready if you want to be featured on the Big Freaking Friday show. I don't think the NFL want players that are playing in preseason games going back to college for more money.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
All you need is one announcement, and it's on conference alignment. I agree. I think you have to see who ends up being that announcement first, but I think it's probably you're going to get some kind of announcement next year. But as I was explaining to my TCU person today, it's fluid. So look at that. MBM, poop, mafia, Utes O-face, poop, mafia, Utes O-face, poop emoji. I need to get an emoji that says allegedly. Got to remember, guys, it's a legend that he is Professor Poop. We don't have we don't have proof yet, and we won't have proof until I generate it with AI. I'm just waiting for a player to turn the 5 for 5 into an age discrimination case. It'll happen. I 100% agree with you. Bulls fan 2K7 says rules should change. If we are going 5 for 5, then everyone should be draft eligible. After year 3, players could get drafted, attend camp, and only play in preseason games to be eligible to return.
I mean, that's a nightmare, though. Where are they going to go? I mean, we have a few coming back, but how many players are really going to find a place back in college if everyone has that ability with 6 days left to go?
Yeah, it's NCAA stupid. Listen, I completely get where you're coming from, Bulls fan. It's NCAA stupidity, but again, if you sign some kind of contract with an NFL team, you're a pro. MBM says 25-year-old should not be playing against 18-year-old. I don't know about that.
I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to strength training and everything. And you're really not having, I mean, there are exceptions. Like Jeremiah Smith was playing when he was like 17, 18. But most of the kids that come in, although with the way coaches are promising playing time now, I think at least get one season under their belt to get into the strength and conditioning program, and they'll be fine. Uh, 13-3 Seattle, guys. If you didn't get a chance to grab that spammers link before we blocked them, that was the score on that preseason game with no starters. Pit Snipe Husker says, for what it's worth, I ain't going to miss a Texas Tech game this year unless the wheels entirely fall off. Skaven Yes asks, can you recommend any podcast like this one and Greg Flugar? Do you have anybody out there you want to promote?
Podcasts like this one and Greg Flugar. I mean, I like College Football with Sam. It's a little bit less realignment-y, but at least he knows what he's talking about. And if you're a Big Ten guy, who else? There is sort of this guy Bucky who's doing a ton. All he does is realignment. I can't remember the channel name, but I feel like a realignment freak. And if you remember Blue and Gold, dude, he's kind of does a lot of things like that. Scott Fisher does some really interesting, dives into a bunch of things. They're
Yeah,
different. No one's exactly alike, but there's some things there. And I'm trying to avoid team-specific channels. I mean, I watch On3. I watch the Cover 3 guys, The Solid Verbal is awesome to me.
Yeah, I won't really go with a podcast. Obviously, friends of the channel, Coos Walker,
West
Coos Walker,
Virginia.
Coos' Corner, Garnet and Old over Florida State podcast, Big
Brett
Ten
Tucker
Ted. If
Music
you're
Me.
looking for Big Ten content, I don't think anybody does Big Ten content as well as Big Ten Ted. I would highly recommend that. But in
Brett
terms
Tucker
of
Music Me to
video,
no end.
yeah, in terms of videos, there's this great channel. I think it's called Dalukes, Dalukes, and he does some very cool videos about conference. He goes historical. There's some historical stuff in there. That what if the Metro Conference was formed? Yeah, it's very kind of I won't say alternative history because he does cover actual history, but then he does delve into a little of what would happen if. But I don't think he does anything live. I think it's just all produced videos, but they're great videos. I'm sure they say the same about Al Golden with the Miami Hurricanes.
Who? I blocked him out. Him and his defensive coordinator. Only defensive coordinator I ever saw on the goal line have his secondary in the stands.
Now take it easy. That's my defensive coordinator for your Super Bowl champion Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, Golden, but like his boy, who we used to call Coach No D, that was his downfall at Miami. Is not firing his defensive coordinator because he was his friend.
Yeah, well. Ohio State did that in 2014 with the third string. They did.
It happens.
It happens, but let's. That Alabama game was close right until the late third quarter. So, and we got some lucky breaks there. We had to play from behind, but they came back. The Oregon game, if you actually go back and watch that Ohio State-Oregon game, Ohio State did everything they could to fumble that game away. And I literally mean fumble. I think they had 3 fumbles lost in that game. But God bless Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, let's see. We've only got about 5-ish more minutes left here on the channel. If you guys have something you absolutely positively need read, it will have to be a super chat. I apologize. We've just got tremendous amount of interaction on tonight's stream. Thanks. And yeah, I was a little lost on the pick'em. Don't worry, OP. Like I said, I'll put it on the community tab here on YouTube, and it'll be on Twitter as well. So we'll make sure we get that all figured out. Devil Frog with the hashtag CJK5H. We got to get a cool hashtag we got hashtag Professor Poop, which I got trending on Friday. But we need to come up with something like hashtag PU Poop. I don't know. We'll figure out something. I'm not letting him get away with it forever, guys. He couldn't answer questions about where he was at specific dates and times off the tip of his tongue on Friday night. So
he had some very shitty responses.
Yes, he's still a viable suspect. The Browns are clowns. Just hope Shadur Sanders either gets out or starts and succeeds. Listen, it ain't gonna happen in Cleveland, and I'm sorry, Monken. You're joining a list of 3-year head coaches in Cleveland. It ain't the coaching, it's the franchise. Go Black 45. Yeah, go ahead.
The Jets and I was going to say the Jets and the Browns could both make the Super Bowl and nobody would win.
Well, they both couldn't because they're in the AFC.
That's true. Way to think logically.
They could both make it to the AFC Championship game, and then nobody would win. You're right. Nobody would win. Not the fans, nobody. Go Black 45, who's been a member for a year. Thank you, Go Black 45. We do appreciate that, sir. It's been so much fun securing people on about the LSU news today. So much fun.
I got no issues with LSU doing it.
I think arguing people on about the LSU news today. I'm trying to figure out securing people. But thank you for that. Let's give you a little tiger roar here. Downright ferocious. Thank you for the continued generosity in becoming and staying a member. We do appreciate that.
9.5 point favorite against Clemson.
Stephen Pitts is getting on us because we didn't mention College Football Express.
No, I didn't do any shameless plugging. We're trying to talk about others. We're trying to pass it forward. But I appreciate it, Stephen Pitts.
I will shamelessly plug College Football Express as well. This is from Pitt Snipe Husker. Everybody here will probably like hardcore college football history videos from John Johnston. Vid's not a live channel. Yeah, I love the history of college football. So, like I said, that channel, Deluxe, he does some great conference realignment stuff that's happened in history and kind of alternative history. But yeah, everybody check out hardcore college football history from John Johnston. I'm trying to get as much college football content as I can this week. I am a fiend. Tur 30 Will is in the house. He said Miami had worse than Golden.
We did have worse than Golden, but I don't know if we had a worse defensive coordinator than Golden's.
Golden's brother, so he was his brother-in-law.
Yes, D'Onofrio. Coach
Yeah,
Nodi.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than friend.
We had the same thing with Mark Richt, who did a great job getting things going, and his downfall was letting his son become basically the OC, the quarterback coach who couldn't coach quarterbacks.
Why does Notre Dame get high on their own supply? Because they're Notre Dame and they're better than everybody else. Didn't you know?
Yeah, I was going to look for the scientific reason, but all I could find out was fuck Notre Dame. I didn't see anything else.
Dolphins are dirty dome fish of a team.
But they're still way better than the Jets and Browns.
I hate to be this guy, Juan. I really do. Dolphins are mammals. Come on. And if you're at SeaWorld at the petting tank, they will eat your hot dog. Not that hot dog, Juan. The one you actually buy from a concession stand. And listen, that blowhole, when Peter Griffin said, when they tell you not to put anything in that blowhole, they ain't kidding.
And now this is officially a Moan After Dark episode.
And now we've officially entered the safe harbor area. Let's get some quick ones here. He says on Twitter, it's why Michigan and Ohio State have so many fans and no pro teams. Very true. Joke that's said often here in Ohio. The reason we don't have a pro football team in Columbus is because if you put one in Columbus, then Cleveland and Cincinnati would want one.
I mean, Ohio State probably has a higher payroll than the Bengals wish that they had.
That sounds like a Clemson Tiger. No, Mama Duck, we've got this. But I will tell you this, the Auburn Tiger is very similar to the LSU Tiger. And when I say similar, I mean exactly the same.
Man, I want that to be a good game. Or like a legitimately good game.
That should be a good one. I think it will be. I think Dabo's going to come back a little bit this year. If he's allowed to keep his job, though, that's another thing entirely. If we win the Natty, I can't wait for people to say our Natty is tainted like Michigan's. Okay. By the way, I don't know if you saw it. It was floating around Twitter a couple weeks ago. The official jersey patch for the University of Michigan is an asterisk.
And that's still better than the Big 12 monster logo on the field.
Yes, anything's bigger than the Big 12. I honestly considered adding that monster logo to every one of these new reimagined.
Because it gets worse every time you see it.
All right, time for our last call. I'm going to end the poll, by the way. And come on, guys. Okay, never mind. We're good. You guys voted for Armageddon with 35% of the vote. Independence Day came in second at 33, Sixth Sense at 18, Men in Black at 14. Damn it. I really don't want to watch Armageddon, but I will watch Armageddon because you guys voted for it. But I'm not happy about it. I would have watched those other three. My preference would have been any of those other three movies. I do not like Michael Bay films.
Well, Mo, you don't want to close your eyes. You don't want to fall asleep because you might miss something. And you don't want to miss a thing.
I hate that song.
You know what, Mo? We might have to do a side hustle based off of this movie thing that we don't ever get to talk to the movies. Maybe we just actually have to do a new movie reaction channel.
Yeah.
Just watch these movies, whether we've seen them or not, with all of these crazy people, and do a watch along. Watch it. You all press play at the same time and watch it as our side hustle. Maybe we can do that in the off season.
Yeah.
But,
if we can ever find time.
Yeah, right. But last call wise, it's next week. We will be dunking on actual losing teams. Lying season has 6 more days left. Crying season is about to come very shortly. There are actually some pretty good games next week. I've already done picks. These guys, we're going to do our picks for the Collective Mafia this week. Look for those things from Moen. So all the picks and playoff predictions that I'm doing are on my channel. Later this week, I'm going to do the first of many. I'm going to do a roundtable. This one will be for Miami, but the plan is to do multiple teams with like 2 or 3 creators from that team scattered throughout the season. So check that out, even if you're not a Miami fan. But also Friday, well, you're going to see how good I am on my ACC and Big 12 picks, right? When you get those videos out for the Mafia.
Yeah.
And
out this week.
And then we get into seeing who can dethrone Daniel Gygax.
Yeah, Gygax, it came down to it last year, though. It was like neck and neck at the end. That last championship weekend really did kind of separate. It got really close. It looked like Daniel had a big lead, but he had a bad run that last week, and he just barely pulled it off. So
did I win the year before? I can't even remember anymore.
I don't know.
I was close.
I finished above 500 for 2 years, so
I don't think I finished above 500. I did not finish above 500 in the Mafia standings. Okay. I did in my other standings.
All I know is Greg is still going to be freezing cold. If you want to pick games to bet, let's say if you just happen to be an adult of legal age and it's legal in your area, and you want to bet on a college football game, just pick the opposite of whatever Greg picks. You're probably still going to be up at the end of the season. You might lose some, but you'll probably still be up at the end of the season.
There you go.
My last call for this week is it's week 0. I can't wait for college football. We got a lot of stuff coming down the channel. As Rock mentioned, we've got those ACC and Big 12 preview videos. Those will be coming out this week. We also have Big Freaking Friday show for week 0, where we'll be starting our picks. So definitely check that out. And then I believe Nate will have a show on Tuesday. Until next Sunday, when we will officially spend most of the hour ripping on Bill Belichick, ripping on his 26-year-old girlfriend, Jordan, who still can't figure out how to spell Jordan. It should be a good time had by all. So we will see you guys next Sunday. If you have not done so yet, you're watching on Twitter, there's still time. There's still time for you. Jump over onto YouTube, click on @ the CFB Mafia, click on @ CFB Express, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on. Those things all help us out tremendously on the channel, and it don't cost a thing. I would also like to thank Caden the Diesel Freak, College Football Peek around the corner with Greg Flugar, Ricky Tungate, Evil Badger, and Go Black 45 for their support tonight. We appreciate your generosity. Thank you all for that, and we will see you next Sunday. I will see you guys on Friday. Peace out.